Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with mushroom and ricotta bruschetta. That's right, this recipe is so simple, it's complex, which are my favorite kind. And by the way, if you know some foodies and want to really annoy them, simply pronounce this ricotta and mushroom bruschetta. Man, do they hate that. But it is pronounced bruschetta, and this actually is not a true bruschetta in that we're not going to grill it over fire, but it is delicious nonetheless, and here's how you do it. So let's start by making our cheese mixture. I have some whole milk ricotta. I'm going to grate on some lemon zest, about 1 lemon's worth, very finely grated. Don't get the white stuff, that's bitter. We just want those beautiful lemon oils, some red pepper flakes, some freshly ground black pepper, a big pinch of salt, and 1 whole egg. All right, and we're going to mix that together till completely smooth. And by the way, when you see a recipe that calls for a beaten egg, ask yourself, do I really need to beat this egg before I put it into something I'm going to mix anyway? Probably not. So sometimes people that write recipes want you to wash extra dishes. Do not fall for it, okay? And once we mix that up, we can just set that aside until needed. And then it's on to the next one, which is going to be the bread base of our bruschetta. And as I said earlier, we're not going to grill this over charcoal. We're just going to throw it in the toaster and lightly toast it. It's just barely toasted because this is going to go in a very hot oven, all right? So I want you to lightly toast 4 thick slices of bread. While it's still warm, I want you to douse it with olive oil generously. That's going to add richness, flavor, and help insulate it. And then we're going to go ahead and divide our ricotta cheese mixture on top of the 4 bruschettas, and I only said bruschetta because I've been saying bruschetta, and the same people that were annoyed by you calling it bruschetta will be just as annoyed I'm mispronouncing the U. But you know what? Those people have a problem. I don't even know why we're talking about them. But anyway, we're going to divide the cheese mixture amongst the 4 slices of bread, pop that in a very well preheated 425 degree oven for about 12 to maybe 15 minutes until the cheese is just set and the edges of the bread are getting nice and crusty and golden brown. And those beauties are ready to top with our mushroom mixture, which I haven't showed you how to make yet. All right. So we're going to take some mushrooms. I'm going to trim a little bit of the bottom of the stem off, even though there's really no reason to do that. And then I'm going to slice them up thickly. You know the drill. Pick a thickness and go with it. But you're going to want to try to get them about the same so they cook evenly and all kind of look the same when they're done. And of course, if you're making this for real at home, and just don't watch these videos like some kind of disturbed voyeur, you're going to want to make the mushroom mixture and have it ready for when your cheese and bread come out of the oven. Okay? But anyway, we're going to slice our mushrooms up. We're going to throw those in a big, giant skillet with some olive oil and butter on medium-high heat. I'm going to give it a big pinch of salt. And here's what's going to happen. First, they're going to get wet. Then they're going to get dry. Then they're going to get wet again. And then they're going to end up damp. Okay? And that's not nearly as confusing as it sounds. Because when you saute this many mushrooms in a pan, a lot of water comes out. And it takes a while for that to evaporate. But if you keep sauteing and keep stirring, and again, we're on like medium-high heat, eventually the water evaporates. As you well know, butter and oil don't evaporate. So once the liquid's gone, the mushrooms will start sauteing. And 5 or 6 minutes later, I had some beautifully browned mushrooms. And at that point, I'm going to throw in a little bit of onion product. It could be garlic, it could be leeks, it could be shallots, it could be plain onion. Here I have a handful of spring onions, also known as scallions or green onions. And you could just toss these in and saute them. But I like to make a little opening in the middle to start the sauteing on the bare metal. Plus, if someone's watching, it looks totally like you know what you're doing. Your friend will be like, hey, did you see that thing she did in the middle of the pan with the onions? That was tight. But anyway, dump those in, saute them for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then, as warned, we're going to make this wet again. So I'm going to add a splash of Marsala wine. You could use white wine, you could use sherry, but I do like a little splash of alcohol in this and in my mouth while I'm cooking. So I'm going to put in a splash of that. We're going to say cook until evaporated, but that's only going to take a couple seconds because those mushrooms are going to absorb that like instantly. So I'm just going to cook those for like a minute. Then I'm going to dump in a nice splash of chicken stock, a little squeeze of fresh lemon. I also decided to give it a few grinds of black pepper. I'm going to turn the heat down to medium-low, and we're simply going to braise that until almost all the liquid's gone. All right, I just want them damp. I don't want them dry. I don't want them wet. I want them damp, just like that. All right, last and final steps. You can turn your heat down to low. You're going to throw in some fresh herb and a big chunk of butter. I'm using parsley, but you can use any sweet herb like tarragon, chervil, basil even. But anyway, once the butter's melted, you're going to check for final seasoning. You're going to spoon that over that crusty bread and that beautiful, awesome baked ricotta cheese. Maybe we'll throw on a little more lemon zest, maybe a little more parsley. It's up to you. You are the grand poobah of final presentation. And that is done. Ricotta and mushroom bruschetta, Such a delicious and versatile recipe. This could be an amazing breakfast with a poached egg or fried egg on top. Serve it with a nice little green salad and you got a perfect lunch. You could even throw a piece of grilled meat next to this and use it as a dinner entree side dish. But no matter what you use it for, it is so tasty. Such a great combination of textures and taste. That crunchy bread, that creamy cheese with that little hint of lemon in there. And then of course, what's not good with sauteed mushrooms over it? Almost nothing. So even though the components are very simple and rustic and basic, the final product seems complex and sophisticated. So I really do hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.